You guys know we're working on morality and metaphysics, right? So let me remind you of last week's service. Morality is the accepted human behavior of a collective. Morality tells you what you need to choose in order to be accepted by that collective. Metaphysics does not deal with the collective. Metaphysics deals with the energy, and metaphysics always allows you personal choice. No matter what you have chosen, whether to move into the collective of morality or not, you are personally responsible for that choice. That's what metaphysics says. You are a child of God. You are molding energy. The energy you're molding is the love of God. So be aware that you are the one choosing and sculpting your life. That's metaphysics. Morality is agree with me and I'll accept you. Okay? All right, changing our story. Everybody got that? Everybody want to agree with me? That was a joke, y'all. Okay. We are all defined by morality. We are all defined by morality. It is just the craziest thing. We go about our lives and we have experiences. And in those experiences, we have... Did anybody ever fall down and you go up and to say, did anybody see me? We're looking about like, what's the opinion of me now? What's the opinion? How many saw my mistake? How many whatever? You know, as metaphysical ministers, we always do everything publicly. Publicly. If we have a fight, it's in public. You know, we don't hide anything. But, so we don't care, like, move on, we're fighting. But most of us have within us that idea of, how is the world going to respond to what I just did? Am I going to be judged? Am I going to be accepted? Is it going to be favorable? In the world's concepts. And the world's concepts is morality. It's the agreed upon guideposts. So when we're coming up through the world and we have experiences that the morality would raise an eyebrow at, just go, or judge, or shun, or have any reaction to. What we as humans do is we take a piece of our identity and we wrap it up in that moment and we make it a part of our story. Make it a part of our story. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that pieces of us, as seasoned and as metaphysical as we are, pieces of us are still caught in moral experiences or moral reactions to experiences that we had when we were younger. And I've told my son, since he was mature, since he was out of high school, I waited till then, and I said, David, anytime you want to know about my life, I will tell you everything I've ever experienced. I will not keep anything from you. And his response to me was, have you been in jail? I said, no. Have you committed a crime? I said, no. He goes, I don't want to hear it. You're the mom I know now. I don't care what you went through, And fortunately for me, Patrick was very similar. When I met Patrick, I'm a blabbermouth. I will tell anybody anything, You want to hear about my life? I'll start from birth. We'll just ride that train. And I would say to Patrick, something about my history, especially with other people that I dated. And he goes, too much? Don't want to know. I'm the be here now guy. And so Patrick doesn't even know how many men I've dated. He doesn't even know about my marriage. He knows very little about my history because he met me in this moment in time. He sees my wounds, of course, but he doesn't delve into my story. He never says to me, tell me why you're wounded. He goes, come on, let's get out of that. You see, those two ideals are the ideal way to walk. But as humans, it is not the way we typically treat one another. We typically have that moral eyebrow raised, and we do it instantly. We do it before we're even aware of it. As a counselor, I have counseled many young people, and oh my goodness, I don't know if you remember being young, but when you're about 18, 19, your life is over. You'll do something or you'll have an experience that the moral majority goes, oh my God. And you say, I'm ruined for life. I'm never going to be okay. I am over. And I have to counsel with these kids and I have to say to them, you know what? You're going to live through this. How do I know? Because I did. You're going to live through it. You're going to live through it. You're going to manage it. But typically in human, what we do is we hold it and we manage it, but we still beacon out that we're broken. I'm still broken. I'm going to deal with it, but I'm still broken. Metaphysically, we want to look at it differently. We want to look at it differently. You guys with me so far? All right. It was really hard preparing this. I mean, Spirit's talking to me. It's great. And I'm like, oh, God, I got that. Oh, my goodness. I had stuff coming up that I had totally managed well. I have managed, and I would tell you the story in a heartbeat. No problem. But the energy of the feeling of having stepped out of morality and being judged by morality, there was still a feeling there. And if we don't heal that, it'll manifest in our physical bodies, you know? So we want to begin to let our energy come back home, and we want to actually begin to think. You guys, we do it every day. We do it every day. We do it every day. There was some guy that I don't even know who was a coach that was released because he was doing something, not paying attention to his team, but he was doing something that was morally not accepted. Do you know what I'm saying? And every one of us went, oh, raise that eyebrow. Well, that guy, maybe that guy. Instead of going metaphysically, where is he investing his energy? Maybe he chose that experience. You know, maybe he needed to do what he did. We don't know. Do you hear what I'm saying? So do you see how we still flip in? It's so tight. So I want to talk to us about that today. The judgment takes our energy away from us. It becomes a part of our story. And as long as you're telling the story, it's a part of you. And even when you don't tell the story, if you haven't healed it, it's still a part of you. Okay? All right. I wanted to share a couple of stories of Jesus because I love what Jesus did, how he teaches us to deal with life. This is a story that occurs right as he's getting ready to cross over. It's at the end of his life. And so I'm going to read it to you because it's fun. They're coming into Jericho, and a wealthy publican wanted to see the Lord, but he was small in stature, and the throng was great, and he could not see him. Y'all probably heard it if you're biblical at all. So he climbs a sycamore tree. Remember Zacchaeus? Little song you learn when you're a little Baptist baby. He climbed the sycamore tree and stood by the way. So he found a seat in the boughs so he could watch Jesus as he was coming in talking to the people. When Jesus came, he saw the man and said, "Oh, Zacchaeus, make haste, come down. I'm going to come and abide with you today." And Zacchaeus came down, but the many of the stricter sect of the Jews, SECT, called out and said, "For shame, he goes to lodge with Zacchaeus, the sinner and the publican." Now, a publican is a tax collector. Can we all say boo? Even though this man is doing his job, he was frowned upon because most tax collectors were unfair when they took taxes. They would just take a little for themselves as well because they weren't paid well. So, and that's really historically true. So when they are having, and y'all know that Jesus had dinner with the sinners all the time. Sinners, the ones that were well-known, courtesans outside the moral accepted law. You know what I'm saying. Those bad people. Yeah. Okay. So they're talking together, and Zacchaeus says, "Lord, I have ever tried to do the right. I give unto the poor half of my goods, and if by any means I wrong a man, I right the wrong by paying him fourfold." And Jesus said to him, "Your life and faith are known to God, and lo, the benedictions of the Lord of hosts abide with you and all your house." Very simple. Your life and faith are known to God. I see you. I see the Christ in you. I see the goodness of you. I see the story people tell about you. I see the story that you wear. I see the morality of being disenfranchised that you wear. But the truth is, God sees you. And I know that. So he saw through the story into the divinity of the man. Had dinner with him, had a good time, and Zacchaeus was just a faithful follower from that point forward. Did he continue to be a tax collector? Yeah, that's his job. But Jesus did not hold the story against him. He saw that in any story, the Christ lives. In any story, the Christ lives. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay. I also wanted to read another story, which I use quite often because I love this woman. I've done many services on her sassiness. But today we're going to look at a different aspect of it. And there go all my affirmations. Sprinkling at my feet. All right, the sassy woman, the woman at the well. So Jesus is in Samaria, and the Samaritans hate the Jews, and the Jews hate the Samaritans. And they're both of the same bloodline, but the Samaritans mixed with another race and became unacceptable because they were mixed. They had married the Assyrians, and so they were no longer pure. So there was this big, long argument, fight. They just hated each other. So they're in Samaria, and Jesus is at a well, and the disciples have gone to buy food. And Jesus is just sitting at a well, and a woman comes to get water, and he says to her, would you give me a drink of water? And she said, hey, number one, you're a man, I'm a woman. Men don't talk to women. Number two, you're a Jew, I'm a Samaritan. Why are you talking to me? You know this is not good for you to talk to me. And Jesus says to her, I'll just read what he says. The Samaritans and the Jews are all children of our God, our Father God, and they are all kin. This is prejudice born of the carnal mind and breeds this hatred between us. I was born a Jew. I recognize the brotherhood of life, and Samaritans are just as dear to me as they are to God. And he said, and if you had known our Father God, you would have asked me for a drink. And then she says, you have nothing to pull up. She's very literal. You have nothing to pull up water from. And he's working with her a little bit, trying to talk to her. And she's being very literal and very defensive about her position and challenging him. That's why I like this feisty woman. She challenges him. But that's not our point today. And Jesus says, she said, well, you know what, dude, you got something I can drink? Let me see that. And he said, go tell your husband to come. And she said, I have no husband. And Jesus said, I know that. I know. You scarcely know what husband means. You seem to be a gilded butterfly that flits from flower to flower. To you there is no sacredness in marriage ties, and you affinize with any man. You have lived with 5 of them who were esteemed as husbands by your friends. And she said, oh my God, how'd you know this? Are you a seer? Are you a prophet? What's going on? She started freaking out because she is a feisty woman. And she says, who are you? And he said, you have read about me in the laws and the prophets. Now, for a woman to have read about someone in the laws and the prophets, she is a devout woman. So he knew who she was, my feisty friend. They talk. He tells them that God is spirit, and they who worship must worship him in spirit and truth. And she says to him, we know that when Messiah comes, he will lead us in the ways of truth. And Jesus said to her, behold, the Christ has come. Messiah speaks to you. Jesus revealed himself to a female Samaritan before he revealed himself to the public. He revealed himself to a woman before he revealed himself publicly. I am the Christ, and the Christ speaks to you. She was a courtesan. It says the disciples came and found him talking to a courtesan, and they said, what's going on? Because they were always warning him not to talk to those people. You're not going to look good. The Jews are not going to listen to you if you talk to those people. And he had revealed who he was to her. Through the story of the morality, her Christ exists. Through the story of who she thought she was. And I love this woman because she's real feisty. But don't you think that even in the Samaritan culture, she was frowned upon? But don't you think she had friends in the Samaritan culture? Because we can always find sinners. We can always find people that are courtesans and that are outside of the realm, and we can party on down. But it doesn't help us heal, does it? Because we're finding unity and acceptance by people who we all deem ourselves to be broken. But Jesus basically said, I honor you to the point that I know who you are and I'm revealing myself to you. I honor the Christ in you. You are not broken. You are not broken. Don't you think she carried that message with her? Don't you think she became a devout, Christed being at that moment? And she already was. She already was. So when we look at these 2 stories, what I wanted you to get is that if Jesus can see beyond our stories, the Christ, he sees beyond the stories, we need to learn to see beyond our own stories. our own stories. Because we can generously say, oh, I behold the Christ in you. I see beyond your story. I see who you are today. But do we see that for ourselves? And when you see someone as a child of God, you are seeing past their stories, you know? So many of us are crippled by morality. We're crippled by the decisions and judgments we've made about ourselves. Pat and I have been through quite a journey of people having issues with InnerQuest Church, not because we're metaphysical, but we're not married. 30 years, committed, monogamous relationship, not married. This was a bone of contention with many people who would leave. Like, I can't be there because they're in sin. Sin's been good. It serves us. It serves what we needed to learn and grow. There's always something going on where each one of us is going to find that judgment against us for some reason. You're not this, you're not that, you're not this, you're not that. What we want to do is begin to realize that no matter what is happening to us, the Christ is still within us. Now, I want to share a story with you. This is not about morality, but I hope it will help you understand the power of your own inner being. You guys ready? Everything I say today is with permission of the client. So just know that. I wrote notes down so I could be exact. This is someone that was a part of our church. And so she had a very challenged life, a very challenging life, just coming up in her world. She was born up north, and just coming up in her world, it was hard. And there came a point as an adult that she developed breast cancer and went through that and survived, and she was fine. And after she had gotten done through with that, she was back to work for 3 weeks. So she'd gone through that. She was out walking her dog one, afternoon, morning, I don't remember, but she was up north. And she saw a truck coming, and she got her dog, and she moved well off the street so the dog and her would be safe, and she would be safe. The next thing she knew, she was in a ditch. The truck had come and hit her, and it hit her side on. The only thing that functioned was her left arm. And she said survival kicked in. And she used her left arm to crawl out of the ditch, to crawl across the street, and she made it to the neighbor's yard. And then she woke up and people were around her, so she was found. She broke her back. She had brain injury. She could not talk. She could not tell time. She was in a body cast, and she was in a hospital bed for 1.5 years. And the body cast went from chin to waist, and then she was in a neck cast for 1.5 years. When I met her, she was terrified of driving. She could not drive. When she would come in, she came in for counseling, she would be maybe 3 or 4 minutes sitting down. And I would say, "Can I help you?" And she'd say, "No, I have to learn to do this." And she would have to angle her body so that she could sit. And then it was hard for her to sit during our counseling time. And then she would have to angle her body to get up and get out. And she was trying, she'd learned to speak again. She'd learned the process, and she was trying to get her life together again. 3 years after the accident, it was New Year's Day. It was January 1, 2019. So that's not that long ago. She was still not functioning well. She still wasn't really mobile, but she was getting up and people would drive her, and she was still very terrified of driving, but drove during the day a little bit, never at night. She lived on Birmingham Highway at this point, and it's a very busy highway. So she was in her living room drinking her coffee, pajamas, barefooted, and the dog started barking. And so he wouldn't stop barking. So she got up or moved over so she could see what he was barking about. And she saw the neighbor across the street, how it was a single mom with 3 little ones, and the toddler, 2 years old, was getting ready to walk into the street. She said she threw her coffee and got up like she was a teenager, started running through the gravel with bare feet to the baby. she couldn't even move. She's running to the baby. She took her left arm. She got to him. She took her left arm and scooped him up and then held her right arm out for the traffic, oncoming traffic. And she said everything was silent. And there were 3 cars coming right at her. And she said the first car, even though it was like the maker, model, or type of car that she owned, she'd never seen that particular model. It was black with blackened windows. She couldn't see anybody in it. And the 2 cars behind, they were coming fast. And she was just trying to stop them. She saw, without sound, the back of the 2 cars behind the first one go up in the air. So they both must have locked up their brakes bad. So their tail ends went up. And then the black car very smoothly came around her and did a semicircle around her and the baby, and the other 2 cars followed suit. She couldn't believe it. It was like an angel had those cars. It was like the first car was from God and the 2 angel had them. And she made it across the street with the baby, went to the mom, had the other children get the mom. She told her the baby was in the yard or in the street, and the mom started yelling at the baby and yelling at the other kids. And she just turned around, went across the street, and collapsed. She just collapsed. Her Christ was present. In spite of all that she had experienced, her Christ was present. Her Christ was alive in that broken body. It was alive, and it needed to show up for that baby, and it showed up for that baby in the thing she feared the most. In the facing the fear the most, her Christ showed up. Today, if you met her, you would never know that she was in an accident. She moves around fine. She gets up and down fine. She's been following metaphysics, a metaphysical path since the accident. Her mind is clear, and she's working on rebuilding herself. She still has some health stuff that she works on, but she is doing well. It's not from the accident. That's all working very well. So to me, it was a moment of demonstrating that it does not really matter how deeply we feel broken, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. The Christ I am is still in me. And we can command it, and we can express it. And she did say that when she had the experience, it gave her the inspiration to know that healing was possible, because she had moved. She had moved. And that little boy, that blessed little boy, that little sweet boy, was a part of her healing. And he never even knew he was in trouble. He never knew that he was where he shouldn't have been. He was just a toddler. So when your Christ can express through that kind of a broken body, your Christ can express through anything. Anything. So when we realize that our experiences are for us to learn, and when we now move into more of a metaphysical look at it, metaphysically, she had to face her fear, and I felt it was a beautiful healing of the entire experience. She was done with it at that point. She was done. And she drives now. Drives at night. For us, it's time for us to actually look at our morality judgments that are still trapped within us and bring the energy out, bring the energy back from us. Some of our judgments are really heavy. You know, if you had any of the childhood experiences where you feel like you're broken forever, those can be very deep and heavy. But if you're carrying it in you, it's affecting you. Within each one of us, we have, from birth to today, pockets where our identity is caught up in the perceptions of morality. And what we want to do is learn to live metaphysically. Why did I choose that? Why am I experiencing that? Where is my energy? Can I get my energy back from that? Does that need to be my story anymore? Does that need to be my story anymore? We all have pockets. Some are fun, some are very deep and hurtful. We need to begin to pull our energy out. So, we came to this earth to learn lessons. What was the world teaching me? What was morality teaching me? What was that experience teaching me? And what do I want to take from it? And if I can take my energy from it and learn what I wanted to learn from it, I am free to move forward without it. That's our goal. Metaphysically move forward without it. You got it? Okay. Was it a simple message today? No. I think it's very complicated as well because we're all in this process. So what I want us to do is begin to move into the mindset of finding our space as child of God, like we talked about last week, finding our space as child of God. You know, people want to be accepted. I want to be accepted. You're never accepted until you vibrate at that frequency. That's what makes you accepted. You're not, I'm a minister. I am absolutely a minister. A million ministers can say I'm not. I am. I cannot be denied because I vibrate there. You know what I'm saying? When you vibrate, you are accepted at that. So when we vibrate child of God, we are that. When we vibrate broken, we are that. So having somebody accept me in their team so I feel good about myself doesn't work. I'm only going to be accepted where I am. So if I don't belong on their team, I'm not going to be on their team. Is that making sense? So we really shouldn't look for acceptance. We should look for self, quality, vibration, truth, child of God. Easy to say, right? Let's go within. Father, Mother God, I ask that all that we now do be for the highest healing for all concerned. And I ask that a beautiful column of light come over each one. And as the column of light appears, let it be the perfect color for you, the perfect energy. Imagine that your guardian angel is with you, or Jesus Christ, or a higher being, a master perhaps. Whoever comes forward is fine. Feel their love and support. You are not alone in your journey. And feel them gently lift you up so that you can almost sense that you are above your life. You can now look down and just see the patterns of the energies of your world. And allow your focus to go to a space where there may be trapped energy from the judgments of the world, perceptions of self. Just look at it. We don't have to get into it. If God is love, I can love that moment. I want you to ask that God love now begin to move to that energy that is trapped. I now seek the good that is here and let the rest go. For God love moves through it now. And it may take a minute before you begin to sense the transformation. And just look around and see if there's anything else that comes to your mind right now. I ask that God love move to the spaces that I am aware of trapped energies. I do not seek to find approval of the majority. I will own what I have learned and release the rest. God love moves through this situation now. And just let the energy begin. And you can just ask for God love to move through your entire life if you choose, letting it move. And as it does, begin to feel the energy that has been trapped is now being returned to you. This is no longer my story. I recall the energy back into my heart, and I will write a new story. Feel the love. Feel the beautiful love of Father, Mother, God. Feel that you are a child of God, creative and perfect in every way. And you can choose. I choose God. I choose good. I choose love. Choose what you want. And let that awareness of child of God brighten in your heart. And just gently allow yourself to come back down the column of light. Feel yourself back in the chair, back in the room. And Father, we thank you that we truly can write a new story. And so it is. Take a breath. Open your eyes. How you guys doing? You know what your homework is. I want you to be aware. Cindy wants you to be aware, and I know that you'll either do it or not. I want you to be aware of the next time you make a moral judgment on any situation. I want you to catch yourself and go, oh, oops. Even if it doesn't really matter, it's a light little thing, it doesn't really matter, be aware. Oops. And come to metaphysical thought. I wonder why I even care about that situation. I wonder what it's showing me about myself. Because I really don't care why they're having that experience. That's for them. What is it about me that makes me want to judge that or have an opinion of it? If you do it consciously, you will do it every day. So the work lies before us. Say, yay, God.